There's the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. We have a village.
Welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad you're here. Today I'm doing recap and commentary on episodes 4 and 5 of My 5 Wives. And if you haven't already watched the recaps and commentary for the other episodes, I totally recommend doing it so you know where we're at in the show. I'm going to put a link here to the playlist and a link in the description box. So let's just go ahead and get started. Episode 4 starts out with Brady making a phone call to his dad. Actually, it's not a phone call, it's a video call. We find out that Brady and Brady's family are all from Washington. Rhonda and Brady are going to be taking their 10-year anniversary getaway trip to Washington, and while they're there, they're going to be staying with his dad. So they're going to get to visit family and celebrate their 10-year anniversary at the same time. We also find out from Rhonda that their 10-year anniversary was actually 4 years ago, so this is definitely a late celebration. But Rhonda is really looking forward to it. We find out that Noni will be taking care of the children while Rhonda is away. And at first I sort of wondered why is just Noni watching the children? Why aren't they being sort of divided up between the wives? But I think it might be because she is the wife that is in the same house as Rhonda. And, I haven't heard much about her working outside of the house. But I do find out later in this episode she actually does. But at the beginning of this, I hadn't heard anything about her working. But when you find out where she works, it'll make more sense. So I do think it's just convenient that Noni is the one caring for the children. Brady and Rhonda travel to his father's house, and on the way there, we hear them talk about wanting to move to Washington. Once they arrive, they spend some time talking to his mom and dad, and Brady tells his parents that he would really like to look at property while he's there because he wants to move the family there. Brady's dad is totally into this idea, and I have to show you a clip of him talking about it.
Let me spoil the grandchildren and tell them Bigfoot stories, go fishing, whatever.
He sounds like a fun grandpa. I think the kids would really enjoy getting to spend time with him. We do find out that Brady's dad had 3 wives at one point. One wife ended up leaving him, so now there are just 2. But his first wife is Brady's mom, and she's still with him. Now remember, Brady's family did not convert from being mainstream Mormons to fundamentalist until later. Like Brady was 16. So his mom accepted this belief system later in her life. She had married Brady's dad thinking it would just be the 2 of them. They would be monogamous. And then later in life, they brought on more wives, which to me is just craziness. I am always amazed by the women that accept and go along with their partner getting more wives after the relationship had already been established as monogamous. This sort of change in a relationship would be way, way too much for me. But back to what's happening in the show. Rhonda knows them looking at properties without the other wives could be an issue. So, Brady's telling his parents like, oh, we want to look at properties. And Rhonda knows really this might not be a good idea.
I am excited to look for property while we're here, but I feel bad that the other wives can't be here too.
Throughout the show, the wives back home are being interviewed, and they will talk about how it's normal to be jealous when Brady is gone spending time with another wife and how much they miss him, but it's something they just have to learn to control. They sort of suppress the jealousy. I feel like this is some sort of standard polygamous wife talk. I know we've seen it on Sister Wives and other shows about polygamy. There's really this whole idea that you must suppress all of this jealousy you feel, when really I think it's probably not normal to feel jealousy that often in your marriage, but they do talk about needing to suppress it. Back in Washington, we see Rhonda and Brady go on a date, and they talk about their history together. Rhonda and Brady had actually dated 10 years before they got married. The way Brady tells it, they were dating and it was going really well, but she ended up breaking up with him. He makes it sound like she wasn't ready for marriage the way that he was. Now, Rhonda doesn't disagree with this. It actually sounds like she does agree with the story that he's telling, but she is really sad about what happened between them. It's really interesting to hear what her sadness is about. So I'm going to put a clip of it in here.
And maybe I wasn't first wife material. I just think I'm the one to blame, and there was something that I needed to fix in myself.
I was really surprised to hear Rhonda talk this way. She seems so confident and she seems very kind, but she definitely felt like the reason she wasn't a first wife was because there was something wrong with her. She wasn't first wife material and she might have not accepted the women the way she needed to, so she missed out on 10 years with Brady, and that makes her incredibly sad. And to be honest with you, it kind of makes me sad that she feels this way. It's very possible she just wasn't ready to get married. She was really young, so she needed some more time. That's okay. But it makes me sad to think she feels like there might be something less about her, so she couldn't be the first wife. I think she seems to do well with Brady. I think they have a good relationship. She seems to get along with the other wives really well. So I do think it worked out the way it was supposed to. And she says that in the end, but you can tell there's a lot of sadness about not being the first wife and all of the years that she missed with Brady. While they're at dinner, adoption is also brought up. Brady says they need to call the appropriate people to find out more and see what the next steps are. Of course, Rhonda is super excited about that. I'm going to go ahead and put a clip in here of them at dinner.
Brady and I have decided to still move forward and talk to someone regarding adoption.
I am so happy that he is so much in my corner with this.
We jump from the romantic dinner with Rhonda and Brady over to Rhonda and Brady being at his dad's house the next day. And Brady and his dad are going to go Bigfoot hunting. I guess his dad is really into this. He definitely seems like a character. I almost think his dad could have his own show. Before they leave, though, Brady and his dad, they put on kilts. Yes, kilts. We know that the other polygamous show had a scene with kilts as well. There's definitely something going on here with them. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip so you can see it.
His debut in a kilt.
We don't want to view too much.
The whole thing, like the kilts and the Bigfoot hunting, it's all just for fun. But I do think that the Williams kids, specifically the younger ones, would really love living here and going on adventures with their grandpa. Brady talks about how much he liked growing up like that. He was surrounded by nature. They end up sharing a story about Brady not wearing shoes for an entire year. He actually went to church without his shoes on. So, yeah, that explains a little bit. A little. I don't know. It may actually make me have more questions, but I digress. Rhonda and Brady go and check out some properties while they're there. And I'm going to put in a clip of Rhonda talking about why they need to move.
Road here.
Our family has wanted to move for a while because when we moved to this community, we knew it was on the condition that we believed the same way that they did.
So they definitely will feel more comfortable once they're out of that community. Rhonda and Brady end up going to one of the properties and they really like it. So they send a photo of the property back to the wives. Of course, the wives back home start to feel like Brady and Rhonda are looking for properties without them and making decisions about where they're going to live without them. So, of course, they all get together and sort of have a little chit chat about how they don't know where they want to live. They want to spend more time thinking about it and how they don't like feeling as if Rhonda and Brady are making this decision together because they both want to live in Washington.
We're going to move. You know, we're all kind of miffed that, hey, they're deciding where we're going to live without us even talking about it.
I'm still just not sure.
I don't want to make it sound more dramatic than it was. They were together talking about how they wanted to be a part of picking out the property and choosing where to live, but they weren't angry or super upset. I don't want it to sound like it's more than it was. It was actually a pretty calm conversation. They just talked about what they were wanting in the future, where they wanted to live. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. Now, back in Washington, Brady and Rhonda have returned from looking at properties, and they end up having dinner with Brady's parents and his siblings that all live in the area. We find out that Brady is the third oldest of 13 children. 6 of his siblings were able to make it to the dinner that night, so they still live in the area. And I don't know, it just was really nice. I mean, I can understand why Brady would want to move back there if so much of his family is still in the area. Now, back in Utah, the wives have decided to get together to enjoy some wine and each other's company. The kids are all in bed, and it's just the 4 of them. It's Rhonda and Brady's last night in Washington, so the wives are just enjoying some time together. It is worth noting that drinking is not something that they do often now. And back when they were still in the AUB, drinking was an absolute no.
That Christ turned water into wine. And so it was always kind of a question to me about why we couldn't drink wine.
Did you ever ask that question?
No, I never asked any questions.
Okay, I'm going to say it. I feel like Polly is a little uptight. And it's not about drinking or anything like that. She's enjoying the wine and she's eating the food. It's just more something about her actions and the way she talks when she's with the other wives. She just seems to really hold back a little bit. I don't know if maybe being filmed made her do that. Maybe she didn't feel like she could act naturally, but she just doesn't seem very comfortable. However, the other wives, Robin, Rosemary, and Noni, they are having a lot of fun. It's a cute scene to watch. It makes it look like they do enjoy each other's company. Back in Washington, the trip is coming to an end. We see Rhonda and Brady walk out on a pier, and I have to tell you guys something. They seem genuinely happy together. They seem like they really love each other. I know sometimes we can be fooled by reality TV and shows, but they just look really happy. I haven't always seen that on other shows, so this is very refreshing. Rhonda ends up saying that even though she feels like she was cheated out of 10 years with Brady because she wasn't the first wife, she understands that it all worked out the way it was meant to. It's just a really cute little clip of them. He ends up giving her a piggyback ride on the pier. It's nice to see them be so happy together. And finally, Rhonda and Brady make it home. Brady makes his rounds, and everyone, of course, is super happy to see him. That's where it ends. That's this episode. You know what? It was nice to have an episode that didn't focus on them having more children, because that was starting to feel like it was really what the whole show was going to be about. It was mentioned, but it wasn't everything. It was nice to see Brady's family as well. I think his dad is funny. He's a character. I think it was nice to see the wives without Brady spending time together where they were enjoying it. I liked this episode. I thought it was pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, let's start talking about episode 5. Episode 5 starts out with the family having dinner. We see that the Christmas tree is out, so it's the holiday season. We also find out that Josh, which is Polly and Brady's 19-year-old son, attends a mainstream Mormon church, and he will be going on a 2-year mission. This is typical within the Mormon faith for 18-year-old boys to do. So that kind of comes up that he's growing up and it's time for him to do this. Next, we see Noni and Brady talking about having a Christmas party for the construction company that Brady and his brother run. This is the first time I'd actually heard anything about Noni working, but she says during this scene that she is an office manager there, so she is going to handle planning the Christmas party. So earlier about episode 4, I mentioned I had never heard anything about Noni working and that I would in that episode. It's actually this episode. It's episode 5. We find out that Noni does work for the construction company. So she's going to be handling the Christmas party. That's what you need to know here. Brady is asking her to do it. This is not something he has the time to do, and I think it's just not something he's interested in doing. I think he thinks she would enjoy it more. We move on to seeing Brady and Polly video chatting with their oldest daughter, Carly. She's 20 and she's a newlywed. She's moved away, so Polly and Brady really miss her. You can tell that Polly struggles with the fact that all of her children are growing up. It's just, she's happy that they're moving on and doing things, but you can tell there's some sadness there, which I think is natural. And after this, we see Noni trying to find a place to have the Christmas party. So she calls a venue and sets up an appointment. Here's the thing. She sets up this appointment and then she goes and tells Brady about it and tells him that he needs to go. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip of it here.
Yeah.
So I have a place that we maybe can go look at tomorrow.
We go look at?
So that you can go
You
look at it.
can't do it on your...
I think it would be a good idea if you came, looked
Why?
at it, see if it...
Clearly, Brady is not interested. I also think he was really delegating the whole thing to her, which it's not a huge company. It is it's pretty small. So she just needs to find a place for everyone to eat and have the dinner organized and get some gifts. Yes, it is a lot, But because the company is small, it's not like a huge undertaking. I think as long as she has a few weeks to do it, it should be possible. But Noni really wants to include Brady, even though Brady isn't very interested in doing it. So he gives in and he says he'll go, but you can tell he really doesn't want to. The next few scenes focus on the kids growing up. Polly has Carly, who's 20 and married and has moved away. Earlier in this episode, we hear about Josh wanting to go on his 2-year mission trip. He's going to be going away. That's Polly's son. And then another one of Polly's kids gets a scholarship to college. The first year will be paid for entirely. So she has all of these kids that are moving on, and you can tell this is just a hard time for her. She's excited for them, but she's worried, and it's, I think it makes her sad, which is natural. There's nothing at all wrong with that, but this show does focus on that a little bit. After this, we move on to seeing Noni at the venue that she wants to visit, waiting on Brady. Remember, she's planning the Christmas party, so she's at the venue waiting for Brady to arrive, and he doesn't. Brady does not end up being there. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip of what she says, which makes me think she might have had ulterior motives. It might have not really been about Brady seeing the venue.
It's great that Brady has come in to scout the party location with me. And I'm really looking forward to spending some time with him.
She calls him and he says he was just too busy and he trusts her to make the right decision. I'm going to be honest, this is one of those things on the show that seemed a little bit ridiculous. It's clear he wants her to handle it. He asks her to. And it's really common in small workplaces for an office manager to organize a small company Christmas party. She actually says during the show, "This was important to me. I was hoping he would come." Why was it important to you? Go look at the venue. It's not huge. They're literally renting like a small room. I guess I shouldn't say small. A large room. It's not some massive event. It's a small company Christmas party. Go pick out an appropriate place and move on. Why was it so important that Brady goes? But I'm going to tell you why. It's probably important when you don't get to spend very much time with your husband that you pull him in whatever way you can. So I think this was really just a way for her to get more time with Brady, or there was nothing going on in the show and so they decided to make this a part of the story, like the storyline for this episode. But to be honest with you, I think she really just wanted more time with Brady. I think this is a polygamous thing. Next, we see Josh, the 19-year-old who wants to do a mission. We see him tell Polly and Brady that he wants to go to Africa. Now, Brady actually has a brother there, and he's in the Peace Corps, so they do have family there. And I just want to be clear, they don't tell us where. They don't actually say where. They say Africa, like the whole continent. So I don't know where he's going. They don't give any specifics. But it's clear this is just hard on Polly. She's got a lot of kids entering adulthood. So I also think this is going to be her storyline, at least for this season. She's struggling with entering sort of the new phase in her life and seeing her kids go. From there, we see some scenes of the kids making snowflakes and the family decorating for Christmas. We also hear Brady apologize to Noni for not checking out the venue with her. Now, I have to tell you guys, I really enjoyed the next part. Brady took a bunch of the boys out to get haircuts. It was a really small scene, but for some reason, I actually know why, I did enjoy it. I'll tell you guys after I show you the clip.
Rowdy in here.
Of course.
Be nice.
This Christmas?
I rassled up a bunch of the boys that need haircuts to surprise my wives. Come on.
I think I have such low expectations of polygamist husbands that seeing him load some of the kids in the truck and take them to do something they needed to do was a surprise. Like, I think it's something I don't expect it. I have such a low bar when it comes to polygamist husbands that seeing this was just pleasant. It looks like the kids are well behaved and he got them in there and they all got their haircuts and it was just really nice. And then there is this sweet moment between Josh and Polly. Josh talks to her more about going on this mission trip, and Polly shares that she's excited, but she's worried and she's sad and, all those normal emotions. And he ends up telling his mom that he's really proud of her. And they have him do a confessional, and he says that he's seen his mom have to change, and he's proud of her for doing it as the kids have been growing up. Like, he's seen her change and adjust to having adult children. It was a very sweet scene. I think Josh seems like a great kid. But speaking of Brady and Polly's children, next we see Carly and her husband Jake. They come home for Christmas. Carly shares that they are not going to be polygamist. She says that it's just too hard and she is not interested in it. So they go from Carly talking about that to seeing Brady and his wives together, being interviewed by a producer. Robin says that she would support her daughters being a plural wife as long as that's what they wanted to do and they knew what they were getting into. But Rhonda disagrees, and I want to put in what Rhonda says here.
What's to do?
I've seen a lot of polygamous situations where they are really not happy. I hesitate to encourage my children to do that just because the track record is pretty much really swayed over here that they're not going to be very happy.
I appreciate the honesty and their ability to admit that it doesn't often work. Brady continues talking, and he says that polygamy can work if there's equality and the man isn't viewed as the ruler. There has to be equality and the women have to be treated well. Next, we move on to seeing Polly talk to Madeline, the 17-year-old with the scholarship, and they talk about college. Madeline says that she doesn't want to stay home. She wants to move out when she goes to school. And you can tell that Polly is disappointed to hear that. And there's just a lot going on for her right now. I think any mother who would have that many children entering adulthood and leaving at once is going to have a lot of thoughts about it. So you can tell that Polly's struggling a little bit, but she is still encouraging them to go, which is the most important thing. Now, Brady is similarly having feelings about his kids grow up. We see Josh and Brady talking while they sit around a fire, and Brady tells Josh that he's glad that he's taking the time to see the world and do things for himself. Brady says that he worked when he was that young, so he's glad that Josh wants to go on this mission trip. But he tells Josh that when he comes back, he would like him to work for the construction company. Brady says that Josh is a great worker, he's a good leader, and he thinks he'll do well working in construction. Josh listens to him, and then Josh tells Brady, and I'm going to quote him, "You are one of the most awesomest dads anyone could ask for." So he's told his dad that, and then he's told his mom he's proud of her. I tell you, Josh does seem like a pretty good kid. Looks like they've raised him very well. But we finally make it to the part where we have the company Christmas party, and it's nice. They rent a room, and there's tables, and there's food, and they've gotten gifts for everyone, and it looks like everyone is enjoying themselves. And speaking of enjoying themselves, I want you guys to hear what Polly says. Just watch her and listen for all the enthusiasm she has about the Christmas party.
I think Brady's company parties are fun. I enjoyed it.
Clearly, I was being sarcastic when I was talking about her enthusiasm. There is really no enthusiasm at all there. I actually laughed when I saw it, and I was like, I have to put this clip in because how could I not? But at the end, we see Brady and the wives get together, and they stand under the mistletoe. Honestly, it was cute. They all give him like a kiss, like on his cheek or on the top of his head. It's a cute little picture. I thought they were good episodes. I liked both of them. However, no matter how much I like this family and I like this show, there are always issues related to polygamy that are just lurking underneath of all the happy moments. Like seeing Noni try to get extra time with Brady by having him look at the venue. I think any working adult who's had experience in a workplace would know that they were asked to go do something. You just go do it. It's a small company. Pick out a small room. It's going to be okay, right? She knows Brady and Jared, who run this company. She knows what they expect. It just looked like she was really wanting more time with him. And that's the problem with polygamy. I guess I'll just have to wait and see if there are more issues or if they really are as happy as they let on. Go ahead and leave a comment about the show. Tell me what you think. If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe and come back to Happily Ever Reality.